Hey, Al Siebes here, and this is part 2 of how a gang moved into my 12-unit rental property. If you haven't seen part 1, we'll link it down below. You'll want to watch that first. But what happened is this gang moved in to my rental property, and the way they did it is the manager, he was in a vulnerable place in life. He'd gone through some really tough stuff, I found out later, and he was at the wrong place at the wrong time, and these guys offered him meth, and he got hooked on it. And they started controlling him, this gang called the Indian Brotherhood, and they moved into his apartment, and he was the apartment manager for this 12-unit. So they moved into the apartment manager's apartment, my property manager's apartment, and I didn't know about it until later. Many weeks later, his mom called me and said, "You're not going to believe what's happening," and that they'd started moving into the vacant units in the building and started controlling the building. And so I was completely freaked out. I had this gang called the Indian Brotherhood, which I did some research on. You've got to see it if you haven't seen it in the last video. They were beating people. They were execution style people in their front yard. I mean, they were brutal meth dealing gang.
Tulsa has a new gang rearing its ugly head, and this gang is known for two things: dealing meth and hurting people they think betray them. Police say the Indian Brotherhood members think nothing of kidnapping, raping, or beating someone.
And these were the people I had to figure out a way to deal with to get out of that building as quick as possible, not only for the building's sake, but even more importantly for the tenant's sake and for their safety, and the whole building didn't just go empty. People running for their lives out of this property. And so that was a major obstacle I had to figure out. The police said they couldn't help me. They said because of squatters' rights, these guys had every right to be there until they were evicted. And I'd have to go through eviction proceedings, which could take months. And so I figured out a way to hire an off-duty police officer to meet me at the property. So I was organizing my plane ticket, and I was trying to figure out how to get out there as quick as possible and have this police officer meet me. And this was in a great part of town. I mean, look at this. This area was called Cherry Street. It's a hip area in Tulsa. It's like coffee houses and great restaurants and a lot of cute shops. And that's where this 12-unit was, just right next to that Cherry Street strip. And it's a great area. And it was just, this guy got himself hooked, and the gang started controlling him. So I'm heading out. I'm going to meet the off-duty police officer there, and that's exactly what happened. And the strategy that I employed was a strategy that many people in real estate know about. It's called cash for keys. And so I approached them, and basically in this building, here's a picture of it. You can see that red circle there. I've circled, that's where the property manager, that's where his unit was. And I had to approach this unit. And it was like a scene out of a movie. I mean, I landed that day. By the time we got to the property, it was getting dark. I had the off-duty police officer with me in full uniform with the police car out front. We approached the unit, and the guys opened the door. And I basically described to them, here's the deal. As you guys know, you're not supposed to be here, and we've started eviction procedures, which I had. I immediately filed the paperwork to start that procedure. And I explained to them that, look, I can give this money. It's going to cost money for the judge's time, for the court's time. We're talking it's going to cost me hundreds of dollars. Then I can give it to the judge, and we will have every right to evict them. However, I've got a better deal for them. And the deal involves them getting some cash money. And so this is how it's going to work. And this was me talking to them. I said, instead of me giving $300 to the judge, how about I give you all $350 to be out in 48 hours. I'm going to give you time to pack up your stuff, organize things where you're going to go, and then I'm going to come back here in 48 hours and I'm going to hand you $350 cash. How does that sound? And they said to me, that sounds like a great deal. And so we were in. It was game on. I was still nervous. I had to come back to the property, but I was not going to approach the property at all without that police officer right by my side. And so I went away and I watched over the next couple days. I didn't see much activity going on, but finally on the last day, they started packing stuff out of there really fast. And sure enough, I got up there, the unit was empty, they'd moved out, they'd moved their stuff out, and I handed them $350 cash. They handed me the keys, and we had a deal. And that was squared away. And I went back and I got to meet with my manager. My property manager actually had checked out completely of the building, and fortunately for him had checked himself into rehab. And so while I was in town there, I made a point to go and visit him in rehab. And he told me the whole story of what he went through and the traumatic experience that he had where someone close to him had passed away. And basically he was in the wrong place at the wrong time at a party and was handed meth and got hooked on it. And this gang used it to control him. And we were able to restore our relationship, and he's back and he's clean now. And I'm able to stay in touch with him. But the property was saved because we were able to move quickly. None of the tenants really even knew, fortunately, what had happened. It hadn't spilled over into but just 2 units, the manager's unit and that vacant unit. And we were able to solve the situation quickly and safely. Thank God for that off-duty police officer that helped me. And we were able to get it resolved, get those units cleaned up, get them leased, and get in a new property management company. And whew, I'm telling you, that was a difficult situation to figure out, but it's resolved and we're off to the races. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this story and maybe you learned something too. Subscribe if you want to be updated on other adventures that we're on in real estate, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one.